Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports.
Hour number 3 officially underway for the early line. It's Donnie Wrights out of Stubbs Anderson, and we had an action-packed hour number 1, hour number 2. Now we shift to hour number 3. Dubsy, the vibes are certainly high.
We are rocking and rolling, Donnie. Week 10 in the NFL fast approaching. We've already jumped into a little Thursday night football. The college football regular season starting to heat up. We've now got the playoff rankings. Does it really matter? Well, not so much. The PGA Tour returns. They're headed down to Cabo. So if you're into sports wagering, we have got you as we move through a very busy and loaded hour. And I believe we've got a very special guest. He's about 30 minutes away. I'm not gonna give the full reveal away, but I'm hearing it's Mr. Jackpots himself. So it is a loaded Wednesday afternoon coming up here on the grid, Donnie.
Absolutely. I can't wait, too, because the NFL comes back into our lives tomorrow night with a banger game between the Bengals and the Ravens. Are we ready for football now? Are we ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely, Donnie. This is going to be a fantastic matchup here. The Ravens completely rolling. Lamborghini Lamar, Action Jackson, King Henry as that 1-2 punch. They've now got a new wide receiver in the mix. They really needed that addition. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, everything on the line. Arguably the most pressure coming in to week 10. But how can you write him off? Joey Burrow, he's looked fantastic. He's putting up the numbers. He's stuffing the stat sheet. They've won 3 of the last 4. That's Thursday night football. Between now and then, some great opportunities to jump in. Basketball is back. We've got some NBA plays, the college football. I know there's a bit of Heisman talk not too far away, Donnie. So I really feel like in terms of prime time in the sports world, it really doesn't get much better than moving through the month of November. I cannot believe I'm actually saying that, Donnie. Where is the rest of this year gone? I'm playing catch up, and we're already hearing it's a fantastic Wednesday we have on tap.
The content is so fantastic in the fall and let you look back and oh no, it's almost winter time at this point. We're going to enjoy it while we have it here, which includes the college football season, which has been absolutely spectacular. We're waiting for the college football playoff to actually begin. We saw the television show yesterday, which got us prepped and primed and ready to go. We talked about it this morning, but you know what also is up for grabs? The Heisman Trophy dubs. So we reach out every time at this hour here on the FanDuel site here, and we take a look also and say, you know what? Who's going to win the Heisman Trophy? At SportsGrid, the question of the day, fading the public. Ashton Genty, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, or other where you can write in. If we look at the statistics right now, 39.6% live. It's Ashton Genty right now who's going to win the Heisman, followed by Cam Ward at 26.8%, and slightly higher than him now is Travis Hunter at 29.9%. Let's start here, Dubsy. Number one, who did you vote for? Because for me, it was Cam Ward.
Donnie, I messed up the assignment again. I clicked on the other tab, but I failed to mention who it was. I didn't write in Dillon Gabriel, star quarterback for Oregon in the Ducks there. I think he's been playing some fantastic football. And taking a look at this odds market, no surprises. Cam Ward there for the Hurricanes. He's been having a fantastic season. A plus 185 for the Canes. He has absolutely been leading them to absolutely dominating performance here. Still sitting at undefeated. Travis Hunter's picking up those style points. And you could make the argument that the stats really don't tell the full picture for the two-way superstar for the Buffaloes. Travis Hunter continues to step up in critical times and just come up with these monster plays. I mean, what's he had? Eight receiving touchdowns for the year, 757 receiving yards, 2 interceptions to go with that. So what Travis Hunter is doing right now truly is special stuff. But Dillon Gabriel, Oregon quarterback for me, I think they're the number one team in the nation, and I would make the comp to my case for Jared Goff taking out the MVP market. It's efficient football, it's professional football, and right now it's working for the Ducks. So I think Dillon Gabriel is the standout for me, Donnie.
Yeah, this is interesting because I don't necessarily, it's hard to really fade the public because I think you have an unbelievable amount of choices that you have. Now, some of the write-in votes, me, of course, I didn't really write anything in. I put a GIF up there as I do think Cam Ward is going to win. You also take a look at Hollywood Hernandez out here, not a write-in here, but it would be Travis Hunter. But then you see some Caleb Johnson by Jared Hollinger writes in there, and also Curtis Rourke from Goodfellas Laugh. So there is a good mix and still getting almost 4% of the vote for the others. But I do think we do have the favorites out here listed. The interesting one is Ashton Genty because you take a look at the schedule that he's played. He did play Oregon. They lost in a close one to the number one team. He gets some bonus points for that. But the other games against a lot of no names and a lot of bad football, he would have to absolutely run away with it, pun intended, as a running back, touchdowns and yardage, which he's going to lead the country in. But can he set records? I always look at that, and it's close to 40% of the vote here from the SportsGrid account. But for me, I just think he has to go nuclear over the final games. 300 yards plus, multiple touchdowns, which, again, is hard to do because as a running back, you still need guys to block. It's still got to be a part of the game plan. We understand that here. So I do think there's a legitimate chance he can win it. But Dubsy, let's just say, where he plays, Boise State against that schedule, that's got to be a hindrance, right?
It really is. In no way is this helping Ashton Genty. So what is he going to have to do in trying to stake his claim for the award? He's going to have to pick up style points. And you look at the numbers that he's put up for this year, arguably one of the best seasons we've seen in college football for a running back there, for not just for the Broncos, for any team there. 20 touchdowns and counting, already over 1,500 rushing yards. He's averaging 8 yards per carry. So it really has been a historic run for Ashton Genty, and to close it out to the house, nothing short of that. If he wants to keep Boise State in the mix, it's just going to have to be 150 yards with 2 tutties, 150 yards with 2 tutties, and really cannot take a letdown. If he were to go missing in just 1 week here for Boise State, that's going to be enough for the voters to say, well, no, really didn't have I guess that testing spot late in this one. But it does not help in going against these cupcakes, these easy beats, and rattling up the score or the stat sheet when you've got some other players in this market who are doing some really, really special things and trying to take their school to the promised land. So for Ashton Genty, he's going to have to continue to put up PlayStation Madden-like numbers to stay in the mix here. A little surprised that he actually has held that value. So King Henry of college football, Ashton Genty for the Boise State Broncos.
Yeah, and also, we're looking at, if you go to the FanDuel Sportsbook right now and just take a look at the odds, because that's how we're voting, right, or how the public is voting, right? Ashton Genty, 39.9%, close to 40%. But if we look at the markets here, it's Cam Ward, plus 185, and also Travis Hunter, plus 185, followed by Gabriel, plus 350, and then Genty there at a 5-to-1 price. But if we're looking at down the stretch they come, right, if I can use that term, Genty, if you let him run wild, would have a chance. But sometimes it's just up to the coaching staff to let these guys go, Dubs. Same thing with Cam Ward. He doesn't have a tough schedule down the stretch, and he's thrown for 300 yards every single game and multiple touchdowns for most of the time. You know that Mario Cristobal is like, okay, I'm going to let you win this. And also Travis Hunter from Colorado. You know who knows more about social media and how to put your players in the right position and promote them as best you can? It's Deion Sanders. So don't think for a minute that Travis Hunter being a wide receiver is going to get overlooked like, he's going to have games where he has 3 catches for 30 yards. No, they're going to force feed him the football because of how important it is for a team and also a university to get on the page with a Heisman. It's been a long time since Miami's won one. It's been a long time since Colorado's won one. Boise State has never won one. If the coaches understand the assignment, Dubsy, to let them let it rip, this is going to be a fun close to the college football season.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a real thing. You need to have your Heisman moment, and I feel like Travis Hunter, he's already had a couple, but Coach Prime is going to put him right in the mix to showcase that two-way ability. And for Colorado, they're already bowl eligible. If they can stay in contention there for the Big 12 championship game, it's only going to bode well for Travis Hunter in trying to take down that award. We've only got a month left in the regular season. I feel like this award is still wide open for Dylan Gabriel and the Ducks. If they can continue to win and go on to win the championship game, and he's playing efficient football, I think that's probably the price play. For Cam Ward and the Hurricanes, it's going to be a similar argument there. And then you've got a couple of long shots, like a Curtis Rock in Indiana. If the Hoosiers can remain undefeated, watch out, still sitting there at 100-1.
Lot to be desired here to move up. Some of these kids are going to have big weeks. Some kids are going to gain some steam and momentum. Others will fall off. The NBA, they're back tonight. Let's go over a couple games and get you caught up to date there. Coming up next on the early line.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I ain't ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Donnie?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia and Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
After a night off in the NBA, gets back in style tonight, Dubsy here. Did you miss the NBA last night? I did miss the NBA. It's just like you're used to it every single night, like Major League Baseball season. It's odd when not a single game is played, and they didn't play last night, but back on the court today.
I tell you, it was a long night for me, Donnie. I could not find anything to watch with no NBA basketball. I ended up landing on Couples Retreat. Fantastic movie.
Wow.
Jon Favreau, Vince Vaughn, some of their best work. It just takes you back a few years. So, look, it was a long Tuesday night for your boy, but absolutely pumped to have the basketball back. What do we got? 8 games into the mix. We're starting to see who are maybe some of the outliers and maybe some of the value teams that we can bet and make a couple of dollars coming in for the new year.
And when somebody spells their name Stanley with a C, you sort of take a little bit of a back here, which means Oklahoma City here on the docket tonight taking on the Denver Nuggets. This line, Dubsy, the look ahead, -3.5. The actual line now at the FanDuel Sportsbook, -7 for the road team OKC as they invade Denver tonight. A total listed at 222.5. And as we talked about it before, you look at OKC in the standings, a perfect 7-0 going up now against a team in the Denver Nuggets that's 4-3, a monster spread. Can OKC live up to that tonight?
I think they can, Donnie. For the Denver Nuggets, maybe a little sluggish, missing yesterday's action. But the big news coming across there, Aaron Gordon, who's been fantastic, got that contract extension in the offseason, will not go forward here for the Denver Nuggets. So suddenly the big fella, he's going to have to be doing everything by himself. And we know how OKC play. They can score at a very high clip. The defense has looked even better here for a new year. So to try and cover that full touchdown, I absolutely think they can. I'd be looking towards their team total. This is a young team that's going to be primed up to play in Ball Arena. And for the Denver Nuggets, I just think they're missing a couple of weapons. If not, I mean, the minutes that we're going to have to see from the big fella in Jokic in this first half, he is going to have to be out there doing everything in his power to keep him alive. But I just don't think he's got the weapons to go there with him. So OKC at 7 points. I know it's a big margin to cover, but I think this is a nice spot for Wednesday evening.
Could be a nice spot, too. You take a look at the estimated starting lineups from both sides tonight. SGA, Carson Wallace, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren here for OKC. Then the home team, the Denver Nuggets, a little bit light there. Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, and also Nikola Jokic. We'll see how that one turns out tonight. But that is a good matchup here, theoretically, but maybe even a better matchup coming up now. The Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics, two tremendous franchises, off to tremendous starts here on this season. The 7:30 tip time tonight. This line opened up for the Boston Celtics as a home favorite at -7, but that line live here on the FanDuel Sportsbook is actually down a point to -6. The total, 229.5, now sits at 230 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. What gives tonight Celtics and Warriors, two of the top teams right now record-wise in the NBA?
I'm a Warrior. Golden State 4-0 going on the road. The Celtics 7-1 to start their year. Steph Curry came back in that last game going against Washington. And look, fantastic. I mean, puts up a 24-piece. I don't expect him slowing down in the Garden here this evening. I think this is a big margin to cover for the Boston Celtics. I think the Warriors are absolutely live, playing some really good basketball. You take a look on the injury side of things. Melton obviously not going to be a go here for the Golden State Warriors, but in a year where we thought maybe they take that backward step, no Klay Thompson. He's obviously joined the Dallas Mavericks. He's looked fantastic over there, but Andrew Wiggins continues to perform. Draymond Green, he's been getting chirpy as expected, and Buddy Hield, if you're looking for three-pointers made, he has been absolutely electric to start the season here. So give me the Golden State Warriors grabbing the points, and I think we could see plenty of bombs from out wide. So maybe look towards some of these player props, the three-pointers for Hield, Steph to go overs, or maybe look at that total there as well. It seems to be a light one. I think we could see a bit of a track meet, 124, 118 kind of wrap-up once it's all said and done.
3-point barrage we might be looking at there. The starting lineups for the Golden State Warriors, we anticipate Steph Curry, Gary Payton II, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Trace Jackson Davis. For the Boston Celtics, the home team, that's Holiday, White, Tatum, Horford, and Keita in that starting lineup. But now we're going to head back out to the West Coast here for the next game. The Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Clippers at 10 o'clock Eastern start. That line opened up -1.5 at FanDuel. You see the graphic coming up -2, but that's actually shifted back now live on the FanDuel Sportsbook to -1 for the Clippers and a price point of $216.5. No Embiid in this game. Paul George returns to the Intuit Dome, a place that he never got to play and was also a Clipper, but now a Sixer. How about some intrigue tonight, Dubsy, on this game?
This is one of the toughest stadiums to play in, especially if you're the Clippers. They built this new wall, this new dome, and they're 1-4 playing in Los Angeles, so it has not been fantastic or smooth sailing to start their campaign. The big news coming across for the 76ers, Joel Embiid handed that 3-game suspension. We're expecting to see his season debut out here this evening. That's not going to be the case. And for the Clippers, well, no surprises, no Kawhi Leonard. They're fresh off that win over the Spurs. That's going to build a bit of confidence. Big come from behind victory there. So sometimes that can be the spark in trying to move things in the right direction. And for the 76ers, they have been underwhelming, to say the least. You know, Paul George coming back, thank you. That's certainly going to help the chances here. But, you know, for Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey, they're going to be looking around saying, we've got to get this thing going in the right direction. I think the odds makers are spot on with this one. I think the Clippers may edge them out in a close affair. It's too close for me to try to take the points and play this one straight up on the money line. Give me the Clippers in front of the wall, Donnie. They're doing these ones. It'd be tough to make a shot, even for their players included.
The fan wall out here. Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Caleb Martin, and Andre Drummond, the anticipated starting lineup for the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, it's nice to have Paul George, but you're still waiting for the big three to get out there together, which includes Joel Embiid and an extra 3-game break on that suspension. So, you know, he's not coming back for a couple more games. The Clippers are going to run out James Harden, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Derek Jones Jr., and Ivica Zubac in this game tonight. You're taking a look here at the Philadelphia 76ers with one win on the season going into, mid-November by the time Joel Embiid gets back at this point here. So trying to stretch the Sixers season out, saying, hey, they'll get it together later in the season, as if Joel Embiid is going to play any more than 40 games maximum anyway this season. Boy, what a fun start to the season for us Sixers fans out here in Philadelphia. Yeah, just happens at this point. More NBA talk next and college basketball right here on the Early Line.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year. And he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
NBA action. The Miami Heat are going to take on the Phoenix Suns tonight. And how about this matchup if we set the table for this one? 519, 520 on the rotation, as the people always need the rotational number. 9 o'clock start tonight. FanDuel Sportsbook opened this line at -5.5. You know where it currently sits right now, Dubsy? Still at -5.5 as a favorite towards the home team, Phoenix Suns. The total, which opened up at 22.5, that is now down slightly here to 221 even. The Phoenix Suns have gotten out to a very good start this year. Can they stay healthy and do damage in the Western Conference? But for tonight, we just need to know if they're going to do enough damage against the Miami Heat, Dubsy, to cover that 5.5.
I think they will. They've been playing some really strong basketball here for the Suns. There's levels to this thing at home in their ballpark. They can put up plenty of points. For Miami, contrasting style of play. They really want to try and get you down to that defensive scrap with Big Jimmy Buckets, Bam Adebayo. But Kevin Durant's looked fantastic, Donnie. This is a player, a superstar that always garners the naysayers and the doubters, and you want to give him a hard time. But he's putting up monster minutes. He's scoring at a very high clip. You look at the starting five. Bradley Beal is looking like the old Bradley Beal. You've got Devin Booker. He's putting up some fantastic facilitating along with his scoring there as well. And then on the bench, you've got a couple of weapons who are stepping up and adding. So at 5.5 here, I think it's all about the Suns in a big spot. They're one of the hottest teams to start in a new year, and maybe they figured it out. It always looked like a team last year, where they were just sort of out of sync. They didn't have that chemistry, but suddenly Kevin Durant looks happy. The rest of the Phoenix Suns, they're looking like they're vibing. And for the Miami Heat, this is what you're going to get. They're sitting at 500 through their first 6 games, but they have been strong on the road. They're just going to be middling to decent all year long, and then Spoelstra's going to get them moving and grooving, trying to make that playoff run. But I think this is a nice spot. Heat going on the road, don't like that. The Suns at home, I think they heat up.
Rozier, Hero, Butler, Jovic, and Adebayo here starting lineup for the Miami Heat. And then for the Phoenix Suns, Jones, Booker, Beal, Durant, and Nurkic. A talented 5. Hopefully they can stay healthy. Kevin Durant's been very good to open the season. We know the talents of Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. We'll see where that goes tonight. But they are the favorite tonight, taking on the Miami Heat as we switch over courts from the NBA over to college basketball. Dubsy, how has college basketball treated you so far this year? Any ups, any downs, any excitement, any looks out here so far?
No, for me, Donnie, and going against some of the power sports right now in the month of November, it's more of trying to get up to speed and really trying to decipher who are the serious contenders, maybe who's missing a couple of pieces from last season. Are they really going to be coming back where the odds makers project them? But this really is the wild, wild west of sports wagering and sports betting. I mean, even these big schools can just put up an absolute dud. We saw a monster upset to start things off there yesterday. So I think it's a really vulnerable market. The Aggies, who, I've sort of got a soft spot for, they got dusted. They were made to look silly. So I think it's a matter of time of sort of ramping up that investment. But great to have college basketball in the mix. Again, goes back to the statement of November being one of the best months of the year for sports betting.
Exactly. Opens up here pretty soon. We're going to get the games in the ballrooms and maybe a game or two on an aircraft carrier. We'll see how it plays out. But for me, opening night, okay, I was in the studio. I was like, you know what? I drive home late here. At least give me something to maybe bet on. And that was the Baylor-Gonzaga game. So I reached out to some people and said, what are we liking tonight? Hey, it looks like Baylor's probably the play. Baylor got beat by like 40 on opening night. So I'm not in the right mood, and rightfully so, because November college basketball, stop it. December college, stop it. Push this back, Dubsy, to January. We can all enjoy it, but that's neither here nor there. We got action tonight. People want to get down. People want to have some fun, and that's Sacred Heart and Connecticut. And the best part about this, I log into the FanDuel Sportsbook, and I take a look to give you guys the updated prices. It has locked, but I believe it was 34.5, which you're showing on the graphic right now, and a total listed at 149.5. How do you grade these teams that should absolutely Hulk smash other teams early in the season? Is this just a runaway for the UConn Huskies as they try to get back and say, national champions, baby?
I think it's all about the Huskies, but in trying to cover such a big spot, I think you'd be better off trying to go after a couple of player props. And so too, being on the other side of the floor, I know for the old Pioneers, it wasn't a strong showing to kick off their campaign. But if you're looking for a player, it looks like Tanner Thomas could be their guy. He's getting a couple of boards. He's putting up some points. So if we do expect that high-octane track meet with the total sitting right around 150, 149.5 for the Huskies to score, a guy like Thomas is absolutely going to have to be putting up some bricks. Hopefully, he's finding the back of the net there as well. But the Huskies, for me, early in the year, 34.5, that margin far too big. Give me the Pioneers in trying to play their Super Bowl going against UConn tonight.
Nice little card tonight in college basketball. Dubsy, he put in some good work this morning on the early line. We'll see him next Wednesday here. Enjoy the rest of your day, Dubsy. Joe Lisi steps up and in next.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia and Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 3 continues to roll on the early line. The hot topics, they never stop. It's a Wednesday morning, and every Wednesday we bring in the Bitcoin billionaire himself. It's Joe Lisi. Welcome into the program, Joe.
Oh, the memes were popping last night. You got to see Bitcoin was all over the place. But happy to be here. Another, midweek. We're at hump day. Nothing better. College and NFL action on the horizon.
Look, Joe, yesterday I spent over 3.5 hours in line to vote, so you do your civic duties here. But our civic duties on this network are to get the people the information they need, which includes the college football playoff rankings. You saw the television show yesterday. We do have results, people. Oregon, number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Georgia, 3. Miami, 4. And Texas, 5 rounds out the top 5 here. I need to start with you right here. Oregon, number 1, 9-0. Do you agree with that, Joe?
Yes, I do, Donnie. I mean, both sides of the ball, offensive, defensive lines, they are dominant. They're really coming into their own. Think about the transition for Oregon, right? The reason why they struggled in the early part of the year against teams like Idaho and early on against Boise State is they were allowing sacks, right? First 3 games, they allowed 7 total sacks. They made some changes on the offensive line. They protected Dylan Gabriel. They're now running the football with Jordan James, and they're sustaining drives and scoring points. And defensively, Dan Lanning has done a fantastic job. They dominated Michigan in one-dimensional offense on Saturday. They get the touchdown late with about 50 seconds left to get the cover. That's a killer instinct. So I really love the way Oregon's playing right now and deserving, not just in terms of the best team in the Big Ten, but deserving of the top ranking in all of the FBS rankings.
Let's take a look also, Joe, at the undefeated teams in the top 12 right now as it stands. Oregon 9-0, number one. We understand it. It makes sense. I don't think too many people are saying, I disagree. One loss, Ohio State should be above them. How could that be? Oregon actually beat Ohio State. They're on a collision course, by the way, for a fantastic Big Ten championship, but that's neither here nor there today. You look at the Miami Hurricanes, perfect 9-0. They sit in fourth place, behind Ohio State and Georgia with one loss apiece. But the ones that probably have a little bit more of a beef than the Miami Hurricanes, Indiana and BYU, Joe, 9-0 and 8-0, 8-9 in the country. But Tennessee, Penn State, and Texas ranked above the unbeaten Indiana and BYU teams. Do you agree there, or do you think any one of those undefeated teams, Miami, Indiana, BYU, got a little shafted here?
Yeah, I think Indiana did. And you see, the biggest thing is Texas, right? We know Texas has the marquee name, Donnie, and they dominated Michigan early on, but they got abused by Georgia. They went toe-to-toe with Vanderbilt, laying 20.5 and didn't cover, win the ball game by 3. And you have an Indiana team that is not just winning games, they're covering them with their starting quarterback, Curtis Rourke, and the backup as well in one game, Taven Jackson. They got shafted in a big way by Texas, and not only that, but Penn State. I mean, where's the marquee win for Penn State? On the road against USC, against Illinois? I mean, Indiana has dominated everybody they've played. They're averaging well over 40 points per game. They're doing it on the defensive side of the ball, positive in terms of turnover margin. I mean, dominated Michigan State. I mean, that was a game that they could have lost, especially after back-to-back games against Washington and Nebraska at home. They go on the road to East Lansing and dominate as an 8-point favorite. You got to give some love to Indiana now.
No, you do. And I love this. And I talked about this, Joe, before the start of college football season, like the old school diehards. Oh, it's why everyone here. This is fantastic. This is every week. There are elimination games going on. We're going to have a fabulous 12-team playoff here. But one team, Joe, I actually thought would have been eliminated with one loss. But as we see, the way playoffs shake out here, the way the season turns out, upsets happen all the time. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming in that first poll, number 10 at 7-1 with that loss to NIU. Give me the path to victory for Notre Dame making it in. Based on their schedule, based on their opponents, is Notre Dame viable here, even with the loss to NIU?
Yes, because they do face off later in the year against Army. They're sitting at 25 overall. As long as Army wins out, that's another top 25 win should they get that matchup. They dominated by double digits, but 30-plus points by Navy as a 13.5-point favorite on a neutral field. And again, the biggest thing for them that hurt them a little bit was Texas A&M getting rocked by South Carolina this weekend. If Texas A&M gets back on their winning ways and continues to win out, that week one victory will look good. Plus the name, Donnie, right? We know about BYU. We know about Indiana being undefeated. But, Notre Dame, that marquee name, if they're in, an 11-1 football team, I think the committee puts them in. You want eyes on the product, right? As long as it's not out against an undefeated Big Ten team or even, a Big 12 team for that matter, Notre Dame is going to be there as long as they win out.
But this is what we like, Joe, right? You're not saying like, hey, can we squeeze Notre Dame into the top 4? It's like when maybe they don't deserve it. You put Notre Dame with one loss in the top 12, you might get some people upset if they leave out somebody, but it doesn't make it a point of that. You know what I mean? They're still a good football team. They're going to bring the eyes. That's part of it. Money does play into it. And yes, they will be deserving at that point. No doubt about it. Now let's take a look. And again, as we say this, and I have to preface this, things are going to change. This isn't exact science. Every week, these teams are going to be jumbled because it's no longer the top 2 or top 4, top 6, whatever. You're looking at 12 teams here, and I think it's fascinating. But if we are projecting round 1 games here on campuses, Joe, number 2 Ohio State versus number 12 Boise in Columbus. Texas down in the Lone Star State to host Alabama. Penn State to host Notre Dame, and Tennessee to host Indiana. I love this format, and I've been saying it. Sooner or later, college football is going to hit it dead square here, where every single one of these playoff games should be to the higher seed and at home. You want, Joe, give me some atmospheres. In December, Ohio State a home game, Texas a home game, home at Penn State, Notre Dame with numbers they would do in Happy Valley, and Tennessee and Indiana. I'm just like, we're talking about, the appetizers to the national championship. Get me to December, man.
Yeah, that looks great to me. I mean, you have marquee games. You got Genty going up against that front 7 of Ohio State. They shut down Singleton and Allen this past weekend. It's a rematch of last year, Texas and Alabama. Texas did win in Tuscaloosa. Can Alabama win in Austin with Jalen Milroe? And then, Penn State, Notre Dame, that was a common rivalry. They played back in the early 90s with like Jerome Bettis and Tony Rice back in the day. We haven't seen it in a long time to get it in terms of a college football playoff environment in Happy Valley. That would be dynamic, Donnie, especially with the cold weather in some of these environments. That's what college football is all about. So I don't have a problem with it. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tennessee and Indiana did play in a bowl game not too long ago. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they did square off.
No fact-checking Joe Lisi on this show today. We trust him in his immense college football background here. College football national championship odds, it's Ohio State plus 330, even though they lost to Oregon. In second right now, Georgia plus 350. In third on the odds board, it's Oregon plus 450. Texas 6-1, and Miami 12-1. If I'm giving Joe Lisi, out of just those top 5 teams, one free bet to place his money down on, of those top 5, who's getting your wager?
Wow, that's a tough one, Donnie, because I like the big money, but I would have to go with Georgia plus the 350 because they are battle tested. They do have Carson Beck. I know he's not playing well right now, a little turnover prone, but that defense is still living up to form, and they force turnovers. So I like Georgia right now. I do like Oregon. Again, I picked them to win the Big Ten. I just don't know, going toe-to-toe. We've seen this square off a couple of years ago where they got dominated. I don't know if they're as physical as Georgia in the trenches, so I would take a shot on the Bulldogs at plus 350. That's pretty good value now entering week number 10.
Now, if we are going to break down games in the next segment here, but I already know Joe Lisi how his mind works. He's going to have an Alabama smash job over LSU. Smash them all the way down the field. Is that your ticket, Joe? 16-1 Alabama? Is that the big money you're talking about that you want to place that money on?
No, I think I would go behind them with Tennessee at 16-1. That defense is legit. And I know Nico is not, putting up dynamic numbers, but they can run the football in a playoff type of environment. If you could rush for 250, 260 like they do, they could win with that defense. So 16-1 isn't bad value on the Vols and Josh Heupel.
By the way, you said his first name. You were ready to say his second name, but I said a little blip there and a brain cramp. Did you want to say his last name? What are you doing?
Yes. Who? Oh,
Nico.
Yeah, I can't say it.
We got you covered next, people. More games on the horizon. It's Joe and Donnie right here on the early line. We'll be back right after these short commercial breaks.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Donnie?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The weekends get bigger and bigger and bigger. Saturday's more important as we go. It's the exact design of the 12-team playoff because we are going to get some exciting finishes and also some Heisman Trophy winners and maybe some big-time performances. Let's start here, Joe. Noon on Saturday, rotation 131, 132. It's Miami versus Georgia Tech. Miami going on the road. This line opened up at FanDuel, Joe, minus 12.5. We're now down to 10.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook, but a line that opened on the total at 61.5 now sits 63.5. Miami has escaped some of these football games, but the one thing is undeniable. Cam Ward is a special quarterback. That offense can move the football, but could we be seeing possibly an upset special in Atlanta this weekend?
I don't know about an upset special, but I'd be inclined to take the points with the Yellow Jackets. They're a blue-collar team, very balanced, can throw it and obviously run it. They're averaging well over 200 yards per game. Then let's not forget, Haynes King has been injured for a majority of this run. So, Zach Pyron, the backup, if he plays in this ball game, he doesn't, have the explosive arm like Haynes King, but I still think Georgia Tech can run it. The one thing about Miami, Donnie, is that they have the killer instinct. We've seen them now rip off multiple games, not just winning, but they've covered, right? They covered against Louisville, covered against Florida State. They covered again against Duke this past Saturday. So they're starting to come into form, but they're laying a double-digit number on the road. This is a tough environment. I'm inclined to take the 10.5. Even though Cam Ward puts up numbers, that's a huge number, 63.5. Give me under the total. I'll take the Yellow Jackets and under in this matchup.
See what happens in that one as we head down south into the eye of the storm. That's the eye of the tiger. We talk about Alabama and LSU, 7:30 at night. Always tough to win down in Baton Rouge. A minus 3.5 point spread here opening at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Joe, we're down to 2.5 as a road favorite for the Alabama Crimson Tide. 58.5 is a total. Who's playing for Alabama? Is it Shawn Williams coming back? Where's the light for Alabama in this game? How about
Shawn Williams, that was 2001 against Hawaii with Timmy Chang. I remember that was the year they were on probation. I had that game on tape. This is an interesting matchup, right? You got both teams coming out of a bye. We know that the last time they was there was Jaden Daniels with the 2-point conversion, 32-31 over Bryce Young. But there might be a wet track, and that's what we have to monitor. The hurricane comes in. There might be 40-mile-an-hour winds in terms of this matchup, which can run the football better. We have to monitor that going forward. I still like LSU as long as they're playing at home. I'll take my shots. I think they're a little bit more complete than Alabama, especially defensively. That's where I think this edge is. Blake Baker, even though they didn't step up against Marcel Reed with the extra week of preparation, give me LSU, but I'm leaning to the under because of the weather.
That game, Joe, officially an elimination game. Is that correct for us?
Yep. Absolutely. Whichever team loses 3 losses, you can't have it in terms of the college football playoff. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Get it out of there. They're done.
What a monster game, a true playoff game down at LSU. It should be so much fun to watch it play out. Close line here. I know, Joe, you love your LSU. Look at that background over there for the Tigers at night. Go Tigers. We'll see what happens. One more game I want to talk to you about here. It's Colorado and Texas Tech. That game is a 4 o'clock game on Saturday. Minus 2.5 at the opening number. Now shifted 3.5 as a favorite towards Colorado at a bye week last week. Total listed at 62.5. Travis Hunter trying to win a Heisman. Colorado playing above expectations coming into the season. Who wins this game, Joe? Slight favorite to Colorado right now.
This one's going to go down to the wire, Donnie, and I say that because Texas Tech is a dominant home team under Joey McGuire. When Taj Brooks is in that lineup, they dominate the competition, and the defense at times has been opportunistic. Statistically, one of the worst pass defenses in all of college football, and they're going up against Shador and Travis Hunter, but they could still run the football. That's still a weakness, I believe, of the front seven of Colorado. Keep in mind, McGuire and Deion are friends. Deion's son played for Joey McGuire in high school, so there's that familiarity there for both programs. I like Texas Tech plus the 3.5. I'm taking a shot. You have Colorado at 4-1 in the Big 12, Texas Tech at 4-2. They win this game. They're now in position to potentially play for a Big 12 championship. I'm taking the Red Raiders. I think they're a little bit more complete, especially on the offensive side of the ball, running the football as opposed to throwing it. That's the difference. Give me Texas Tech outright.
There you go, Texas Tech. By the way, we do have a couple minutes here left to spend. There are some other big games on Saturday. Just go over some brief notes on these. I always take a look, Joe, at some of those environments that you say, oh, boy, we got let down last week. That's the Penn State Nittany Lions at home this week against the Washington Huskies. We're looking about a 2-touchdown favorite. Penn State, you saw the optimism after the game from James Franklin. Hey, we still have everything in front of us. Is this going to be a letdown week against Washington? What can you anticipate? Or is it a big performance in a bounce-back way for Penn State?
Well, this is the whiteout game, right? Everybody was hoping on Ohio State being the whiteout game. This is, in fact, the whiteout game at night under the lights in Beaver Stadium. So that's an added dimension. You know, you always want to back Penn State in terms of that situation. But I don't like this team right now. I keep saying it. Drew Aller is the Achilles heel and weakness of this offense. He cannot play from behind. I know he did it against USC, but he can't do it against elite competition, Donnie. That's why I can't buy into, big picture Penn State. Here's the other thing. Washington is playing well outside the loss to Indiana. They dominated in the second half against USC. That defense is a bend but don't break unit. They might have the more complete quarterback in terms of Will Rogers going on the road. I'll take a shot. I do not like Penn State. I'm inclined to take the points with Washington in this matchup.
We got another minute left here, and I got to get your opinion here. 2024 Heisman Trophy winner. We got a virtual tie at the FanDuel Sportsbook between Travis Hunter and Cam Ward right now, plus 185, followed by Gabriel and Genty. Who wins this award, Joe, when it's all said and done?
I really believe it's going to be potentially Cam Ward. I continue to say that. The Hurricanes are undefeated. The guy's putting up 300-yard performances, and you can only play who you can play, right? He is the most important player for that offense. If the Hurricanes haven't had Cam Ward, they wouldn't be undefeated. Guarantee that. That's not to take away from Genty and certainly not Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter and Colorado do get to the college football playoff, then maybe I would change my assessment. But early on, right now, week 10, it's Cam Ward, hands down.
You guys do a college football show every Saturday, which is fantastic stuff. And every week I watch, and I hear from Ben, I hear from Kevin. They love big chest Mario Cristobal, one of the best college football coaches in the nation. But you're getting what you pay for here next. It's Joe Lisi. It's Lead Pipe Lock coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Donnie?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia and Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10-point line last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back on the early line. Donnie and Ben will be back tomorrow. Thursday night action. We got a great game on tap. Donnie, myself, and Kevin Walsh will be breaking down Baltimore and Cincinnati. We'll get into it in a couple of minutes. But I'll give you an NBA play tonight. Last minute, they hit me with the bye. So give it, Friezo.
Bye.
All right, so we're going to go. We'll talk about the Indiana Pacers, Orlando Magic. You want points? We'll go alt it up. How about this right now, Friezo? Siakam for 20, Pascal Siakam for 25 plus at plus 210. That's the buy special tonight. Gamble at your own risk. NBA, still trying to get into it. I've been a little hot and cold with that. Did nail college basketball the other night, but tread lightly. We're going with Pascal Siakam, 25 plus at plus 210, the pick for buy. Thursday night football, we talked about it. Big matchup, divisional game, at home, Baltimore laying 6.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's not forget, when you think about the first meeting, this game went right down to the wire. Baltimore prevails by 3 points. Both quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, dynamic performances. Burrow throws for 392 yards. Lamar Jackson, 340 plus. We saw all of those wide receivers eat in that matchup. The rushing attack was basically non-existent heading into that matchup and ball game. I think on a Thursday night, short week, it'll be a little bit different. We do have a 6.5 point home favorite. We saw Baltimore dominate a one-dimensional offense in terms of Denver and Bo Nix. They were able to run the football, but that was mostly in the first half of that ball game. They fell behind and then couldn't catch up because of the offensive firepower. We do have Joe Burrow hitting on all cylinders, 5 touchdowns last week in the dominating home win over Las Vegas. Mike Gesicki's been a great addition to this offense right now. He does break out with 4 receptions, 100 yards, 2 big touchdowns in that matchup. And we've seen Baltimore, for the most part, struggle with tight ends this year. That could be a matchup heading into this ball game tomorrow night. Mike Gesicki over his total and potentially to hit pay dirt could be a look. I also look for Chase Brown to be a major factor for Cincinnati. When you're on the road, you want to run the football. You want to keep the more explosive offense on the sidelines. And in this case, that is Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Chase Brown over his total, maybe 80, 90 yards in terms of that matchup. Also, maybe catching the football could be an option in this ball game. Jamar Chase, always a go-to player for Joe Burrow in that type of situation. On the Baltimore side, Lamar Jackson does have a pretty good number at plus 160 for anytime touchdown. We know it's Derrick Henry. Multiple times he's negative money, minus 210 yet again, but he could be a player in terms of Lamar, anytime touchdown, goal line type of situations, prime time, break, contain, and hit pay dirt, plus 160. I like that value. I would go under the 52.5, and I would lay it with Baltimore early on, not sold in terms of Cincinnati heading into this ball game, even though they got the victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Other notable college football games this week. You got a dandy in terms of the Grove in Ole Miss. We have Ole Miss 2.5 point dogs squaring off against top-ranked Georgia. Georgia right now gets the win, but no cover in Jacksonville against Florida. When you saw that matchup play out, again, turnover prone for Carson Beck, their starting quarterback. After Lagway went out, that defense reared their head back, backup quarterback. They forced multiple 3-and-outs, and they were able to obviously win that ball game by 14, did not cover as a 14.5 point favorite in Jacksonville. Now they're laying 2.5. If anybody watched this game last year, Georgia dominated this matchup. They put up 51 total points in Athens. Carson Beck had a huge performance in the first half in terms of the passing game. After that game, this was the game that made Lane Kiffin suggest that they need more transfer and depth on the front seven, that they could not match up with the physicality of Georgia offense and defensive line play. Why is that important? Because fast forward now a half a year, and Ole Miss has one of the best rush defenses in all of college football. Entering that matchup last week against Arkansas, they were holding opposing offenses to only 62 rushing yards per game. That was number one in the SEC in all of college football. If they can make that type of effort this coming Saturday, they potentially could strike the upset over the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll break down that game this weekend on College Football Today. For Joe Frizo, Donnie Rightside, Ben Stevens, I'm Lisi. We'll see you next week. They'll be back tomorrow. Craig Mish coming up. Have a great week, everyone.